Okay, we're back for part two. Part two of Antibody ID. Our next step that we're going to get into is going to be, we're going to start talking about multiple antibodies. So oftentimes when we start seeing patients with one antibody, they start developing two or three or multiples, in which case we need to be aware of it and be able to find out how to differentiate. We're now trying to pick and pull the different things out of the antibodies. So how do we find out? We're going to go through the exact same process as we did before. However, it's going to be a little bit different when we get to the end. We're actually identifying the final ID because we have to have two cells positive for one antigen giving a positive result, and then two cells different positive for the other antigen giving a positive reaction also. So we have to have two positive of each versus just two positive, two negative. We may have to test additional cells because when we're dealing with this, we're going to struggle to have a little more space. So let's look at the actual antibody. We're going to go ahead and do another one together. So here is our in-class number 2. You can see down here we have one positive. We have two that are negative, so we can use both of those rows to rule things out, and check cells work, so we're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and follow the same rules we did before with crossing off. So I'm going to cross off row 1. I'm going to go ahead and do this one first, just so we have it when we're bouncing around. So big D, I know it's homozygous, so a double dose gets a double X. Big C positive, little c negative, double dose gets the X. My little E here gets the X. My little K gets the X, KPB gets the X, JSB gets the X, FYB gets the X. So these are all single, homozygous cells where only one of them has it, the other one does not. So that's nice. That gives us X's versus just slashes as we're going through it all. And that's that one. My recommendation, you're going to pause right now, pause the video, do this second row, and then go into the next page and do these cross-offs. Then before you start the video, look at your reactions and see if you can figure out what the antibodies are. You know we're doing double antibodies, so that's kind of giving you a little clue. There should be at least two. And so see if you can figure it out when you start the video back up what it's going to be. I'm going to go ahead during this pause. I'm going to pause you, and then I'm going to go ahead and mark these all up. And when you come on, then you'll be able to watch all my markings to make sure all my markings match your markings and why it might be that way. So go ahead and pause right now and come back when you get all your markings done. Okay, so hopefully you did pause and you're back. And so if so, we're going to go ahead. I've got another negative here, so I can do another cross-offs. I can go ahead and cross off my big E, my little K. I'm giving double dose gets the double crosses. This is a nice screen. This screen has a lot of double doses on it. That's nice. That'll help us a lot when we get to our antibody panel. So I'm going to start doing these cross-offs. I can start with these first two rows. I know that's homozygous D, so double dose, double dose, double dose. You should be watching this. You should have already done this, but you can watch me do mine and make sure everything matches okay. If you don't understand why I'm doing one of these the way I am, please ask. Obviously you can't ask right now because this is recorded, but make sure to catch me during the discussion. If you're in my class, you know this one only has one allele, so it gets the double dose. It's zygosity indeterminate. If you're in my class, we know we've got a discussion coming up. If you've already been through the discussion, you're watching this, like, I still don't get it, throw me an email. I will be happy to meet with you one-on-one and figure out where your struggles are. Let's find your struggles early for this so that when we are moving forward, this you've got in your back pocket. This one is a single D. It's got a big D and a little d, so we give it just a single line through. But like I said, it's easier if you don't get something, let's work on it now because this just continues to grow. This is the very, very important piece of antibody ID is understanding these antigens. Here, I want to point this out. This Duffy, see how they're both negative? So that's somebody that's Duffy A negative, Duffy B negative. We see those occasionally. Remember the population we see that in? We often see that in the African American population. And historically, anyone in malarial endemic areas, because the Duffy is where the malarial enzyme enters the red cell, and so it was beneficial. You did not get malaria if you did not have the Duffy. And way back when people died of malaria, we have better treatments now, but people would die. And when you die, you don't have offspring. So those genes don't get passed on. Again, remember, you're going to do these in pencil so that if you do mess up, how easy it is to erase. Number 8 is my next cell. Let me make sure I'm on the right cell here. So hopefully these are looking like what yours looks like. You know, my panels get a little bit goofy sometimes because I have, copied them so many times. Ooh, okay, we're getting down there. This is a little putsy. I once had a student that, after coming to clinical, they came to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is how they actually do it in the lab." Yes, this is really how they do it in the lab. It's very manual. There is no good method to do it. It's not this way. So if you're in a blood bank that does this testing, this is how you are going to do it. So it was kind of funny. They were just really, really surprised that there wasn't a more instrumentive way of doing it. Last one here, my tech cell, which is my cell 11. It's a heterozygous D. I had a question earlier today that, yes, these change every month. You're going to get a different anagram. And when you do, these will be different donors. These donors only donate once every few months. So you can't like memorize a panel because every month it's going to be a little different. A lot of panels have some similarities, but they are going to be different. You always want to make sure that you match this lot number to the lot number that's on the bottles that you're actually doing. Otherwise, you could be crossing off the wrong panel and totally getting crazy, crazy results. Okay, so now let's cross off up above. Let's see where we're at. D's, I got 2, at least 1 homozygous. Remember, that's the rule. You have to have at least 2 cross-offs, and 1 needs to be homozygous. I can cross off C. I can cross off C. Nothing on the E, so we're going to write the 2 above the E. Little e I can cross off. CW is a low frequency. You can cross it off. K, there's no K's, so I can mark a little 2 above the K. KPA has 2, I'm sorry, little k has 2 KPA. It's negative all the way through, so it's good. KPB has 2, JSA, it's negative all the way up and down, so it's good. Those are our low frequencies. JSB is good, it's got 2. Duffy, oh, yep, there's my homozygous, so I can cross Duffy off. Duffy B, I got a homozygous, heterozygous. Let's see, yep, I got a JKA way down there. JKB, I got right there. Lewis A, I got 2 for Lewis A. Lewis B, I got 2 right there. P, I got 2 right there. M, I got 2 right there. N, yep, there's a homozygous, heterozygous. I got those. I got a big S. Little s, I got little s. Lutheran A is a low frequency, so you only need heterozygous and you only need 1, but I got 2 there, so we're good. Got 2 Lutheran Bs and plenty of XGAs. So all we have left on this panel, let's pop this little thingy doohickey here, is my E. Why didn't that work? Here, let me do it this way. So I've got my E column, and I got my K column. So because those are my ones with 2s, I'm going to highlight them, and they're the ones I'm probably going to have to look at. So what we're looking for now is the matching over here. So now we're going to look, and I got a positive here, which is positive, but that's negative. They're both positive here, positive. I got a positive here, negative, positive. So yeah, it looks like these two together might make it. So remember that rule, we have to have two positive just for one and two positive just for the other. So I got one here that's positive for big E and negative for K. And is there another one? Yep, I got another one here that's positive for big E, negative for K. That's positive over there. So I got two for big E. Let's look here. Do we have any for K? I have none that are positive. Oh, wait, right here. I'm sorry. I do have one. I have one that's positive for K, that's negative for big E, but I only have the one. So I have to find one more, positive for big K, negative for E. So let's bounce back up to those screen cells. Let's go ahead and highlight them. Oh, whoops. Uh-oh, that did not go well. That's supposed to be. Okay. There's my big K. There's my big E. So I need one that was positive for K, negative for E. And unfortunately, these are both positive, so that's not going to help me. So now we have to find a select cell to prove big K in. Everything else got ruled out. We have everything else ruled out. We just need one more cell that's positive for big K, that's negative for big E. Because we have the two that are positive for big E, negative for K, but we need one more, positive for big K, negative for E. So I'm going to go to my select cells. I'm going to go ahead and highlight my K, and I'm going to highlight, whoa, that did not go well. Let's delete that. Let's try that again. Come on. Okay. I'm doing this with a mouse, so it's not the best. Let's try it one more time. Okay, let me move my mouse a little bit at an angle here. Let's see if that'll work. Oh my goodness, this is awful. Okay, let me try it this way. There we go. I'm so used to doing this on paper on an overhead. So, okay, so I got my two columns. So remember, we are looking for one that's positive for K and negative for E. And look right there. I got one here that's positive for K and negative for E. So remember, I kind of like you guys to highlight the why we pick them for, the different ones. So let's see if it lets us. No, it's not going to let me. Okay. Well, you get the idea. So now the difference is this time, remember last time these were going to be negative? Now we're ruling big K in. So because of that, I expect this to be positive. Okay, how do I get rid of this thing? Let's get rid of that. Okay. So because of that, we expect it to be positive this time. So I'm going to run this cell, negative for E, positive for big K. If it is positive, now I've ruled my second cell in. So remember the rules. So let's go back to our, here. To confirm, we must have two cells positive for just one antigen giving a positive reaction, and two different cells positive for just the other antigen giving a positive reaction. So that's why we had to go back and we did check the screening cells. The screening cells didn't help us, so we tested the additional cells. If we have to rule cells out, we have to find cells that lack all the antigens for what was specified. So what that means is if I need, let's just say I need to find one more Duffy. Okay, let's just pretend I didn't get all my Duffies. I need to find one that's negative for big E and negative for K and positive for Duffy A. So that one doesn't work. Negative, negative, positive right here. So here I could run this one if I needed to prove it out because it's negative for the two cells that are causing the problem. So if I ran that cell, it would be a negative here. Does that make sense? And then I could say, yep, there's my final cross off for Duffy. Now, we already ruled Duffy out over here. We had the homozygous and several heterozygoses, but just in case we hadn't, that's how you'd rule that out with a negative. In this situation, we didn't need that. We needed the positive. So that was for ruling out. We just talked about that. So multiple antibodies, final confirmation. We need at least 2 cells positive for just one antigen, at least 2 other cells positive for just the other antigen, at least 2 cells negative for both. So when we look at that, let's look up here. See how this one is, negative and negative and negative and negative, and they're negative over there? That counts. So any of these ones that we ran through, that counts as negative for both. And then we have to type the patients negative for both antigens. So we actually have to type the patients in this case situation for big K and big E, and they should be negative for both. If they are not negative antigens, if the antigens are there, they shouldn't have developed an antibody to themselves, so we really need to look for something else. Okay, so we got a couple special considerations with anti-D. Anti-D, we see it in Rh negative people who had positive babies before Rh immunoglobulin, males who received Rh untested blood during World War II and the Korean War, patients who received Rh positive platelet products sometimes can get, platelets have a few red cells, so they can develop anti-D. Patients who received Rh positive blood in massive transfusions. When we get a massive transfusion, we do the best we can, so sometimes we have to give positive blood. And OB patients who receive prophylactic Rh immunoglobulin, they'll have anti-D temporarily. But these are people that we can see anti-D in. So considerations, a weak positive is valid positive with any antibody. So even if it's just weak, if it's there, it's an antibody. We do see a little bit of a weaker R1 cells. So that's big D, big C, little e. Than we would like R0, R0 or R2s, because big C next to big D is going to weaken the expression of the D. We can never cross off, we can never get a homozygous cross off for big C or big E when you have anti-D, because it would be a really, really rare. And I say never, but I actually seen it. I have seen cells very rarely that do have it, but you can almost never get a homozygous cross-off because you'd have to have an R prime or an R double prime, and we're not going to see those very, very often. So in those situations, we're going to have to settle for 2 heterozygous cross-offs for C and E when you're looking for an anti-D. So when you have an anti-D, when you think it's an anti-D, 2 heterozygous cross-offs for big C or big E is totally fine. Most panels provide at least 3 cells that are D negative, but between them contain all the other blood group antigens. So you should have at least 1 cross off of everything. And should be able to pick out everything that's causing a problem. That's the whole idea. So we're going to use selected cells where the patient has a previously identified anti-D or is known to have received it. So if they are known to have an anti-D or the previously received Rh immunoglobulin, we are only going to pick the ones that are D negative on the panels. We're not going to pick the D positives because they're all going to be positive and it's a waste of time and resources. So we're not going to do that. Stop there and go ahead. I've got some practice antibody ID panels out there. You've got homework antibody ID panels. This should be enough to help you work your way through. And reach out to me if you have any questions. And don't forget, I'll have that extra review session just to go over antibody ID this week. So print them off, come to the session. We'll talk about it some more.